Hi there. Welcome to another edition of TokStocks. I'm your host, Keir Reynolds, and today we're lucky enough to have Michael Wood, Executive Chairman of Sendero Resources Corp, with us. Trades with the ticker on the TSXV Venture Exchange, SEND, SEND. Hey, Michael, how you doing today?
Hey, Karen. No, thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Yeah, thanks for staying up. I know it's a little late where you are, but appreciate you spending a bit of time with us. For those of my viewers that don't know who you are, could you just discuss a little bit about your background?
Yeah, sure. So, been in the space for a little while now. Started out bringing junior mining companies over to Asia. I'm based in Hong Kong around 2013, 2014. Started bringing over companies doing marketing and capital raises, and we started out and ended up actually having a great kind of plethora of companies, the likes of Mag Silver, First Majestic, I Am Gold, Yamana Gold, Millennial Lithium, a lot of great companies. Pretium came, and that kind of got us into the sector. Then started getting our own assets. The first one was a deal actually with Mag Silver. Since then, we've done Rainer Silver, Rainer Gold, KCR Gold, and now Sendero Resources. So a few junior companies, now at the asset level. And I think we're all of those we kind of focus on assets where we see great potential. I think we've seen a lot of success stories, and I think the kind of formula is generally the asset is key, right? The management needs to be good. You need to have good access to capital, but without a good asset, it's never going to lead to anything. So that's kind of what we're focused on. And great to be at this stage, particularly Sandero. I'm particularly extremely excited about what we have in a great jurisdiction, great geology already identified with potential of a big scale discovery. So great to be here, and really enjoy working in the space.
So, a little bit of an interesting fact: you used to be a detective, if I'm not mistaken, with Scotland Yard in their counterterrorism department. That's kind of an interesting story. Could you explain a bit about that?
Yeah, no, a long time ago, yeah, Kim, and I started off actually. I did economics undergrad. I went and worked at a private bank. At 25, I quit finance and joined the police, which was quite a change of career. And I'd always been fascinated by being a detective. Actually, I thought about joining the police straight out of university, and yeah, it was an amazing experience. I loved it. I'm very fortunate to get to do counterterrorism investigations, and I did that for a number of years, and then decided I wanted to make more money, to be frank, and decided I was going to do an MBA and leave the police. Never kind of saw it as a long term thing. While I was still relatively young, wanted to have some excitement and some interesting experiences. So yeah, at 30, I left, and I moved to Hong Kong and did an MBA. And yeah, one of my classmates, Jorge, who's the CEO of Rainer Silver, started working together. The rest is history. So yeah, no, definitely a slight divergence from the world of finance, but yeah, great experience. It was really
Excellent.
fascinating experience, and definitely very pleased I did it.
So, I guess rather than investigating and trying to hunt down criminals, you're now investigating and hunting down precious and base metals here with what you have going
Yeah,
on. So, interesting segue. You kind of touched on a few of the other names that you're involved with, and I remember hearing when you got going, and I used to do a bit of speaking, and we used to go over to Asia to try to bring some of these companies. So great to connect with you here today. Could you explain a little bit about how sort of emerging markets capital, do you Could you explain a little bit about who's involved and what you do with that now?
yeah, sure. So that's something that Jorge set up, and myself and Marco from Cassia Gold helped out with Jorge back in the day, and still do. So we've kind of focused on getting assets that then we've created these companies from. And I think Jorge still actively has done a bit of marketing recently. Actually, a couple of companies came over to Hong Kong, and obviously a big financial center. I think very strange times over the COVID period here. We were quite isolated, but things are kind of getting back to normal, and people are starting to come back. So that's the kind of background of EMC, and still going strong.
Excellent. Maybe so. We're talking Sendero. Sendoro's been pretty topical, been in the news a little bit. You put out some maiden put out a maiden drill hole, and the stock sort of dropped quite a bit. I thought the drill hole was pretty good myself, so thought it'd be good to sort of get you on. But for those that aren't familiar, maybe we could kind of start. Could you provide a bit of an overview of Sendero Resources?
Yeah, so like Sendero is something we've been working on since 2020, and it came across our desk back in 2020, and it's in the Vicuña District, the home of the Lundin group of companies who've done an amazing job, made massive discoveries at Filo del Sol, Jose Maria, now Lunahuasi, Las Alados. And it's quite unique geology up there. And it's really become a new cluster within the Central Andes, which is kind of the lifeblood of the copper supply. And yeah, it was always very exciting to me. It was owned by a gentleman that had ran Barrick Gold in Argentina. He'd ran Yamana in Argentina, Anglo Gold Ashanti before that. He'd privately bought these claims. So that also was a big tick, right? To have a strong local Argentinian partner, not only the property potential, but having a strong partner also very important in a jurisdiction like Argentina. So yeah, something we initially did the deal with Hernan. His name's Hernan Vera, the gentleman who's the CEO of Sandero. He really runs the operations in country. I'm focused on the marketing and running the corporate entity in Canada in March 2021. So it's been going just over 3 years. And then we just went public last October. October the 4th, we started trading on the TSXV. And we raised $5.8 million. And we've just gone and done a maiden drill program. We've done an 8-hole drill program, testing 3 targets that we have on the property. And what we've found already on the property is a clustering of porphyry epithermal on what's called telescope targets. Now, telescoping is very prevalent in Vicuña, and it's kind of what makes it special and unique and gives these super giant deposits. Because telescoping is a merging of high sulfidation epithermal systems, which are big deposits in their own right, and porphyry systems, which are big deposits in their right, into one giant system. So that's what we saw in the third target we drilled called La Ollita. We saw the high sulfur epithermal system telescoping, merging with the porphyry system. And that's why we're particularly excited about it. And I think a lot of people are. I think some people in the market were underwhelmed by the initial numbers. I think there was maybe some expectations we're going to hit similar grades to that have been recently coming out of the district from Lunahuasi and Filo. But I think, we're just kind of vectoring into this. This is a covered target. You have glacial moraine, glacial tilt above it. So you're not seeing the geology. So, we need to start probing into it. We've done IP and magnetics, ground magnetics there to give us some kind of snapshot on beneath the cover. And we definitely want to do more geophysics. Actually, already discussing doing MT to go a lot deeper. Because one thing we really want to understand, Keir, is where the source of the mineralization is coming from. Right, so we're finding what's referred to as a lithocap, which is what they have at Filo del Sol. And a lithocap is kind of a flat, kind of continuous bed. And lithocaps can be barren, but when they do host mineralization, they're a great source because they're very consistent. So once you start getting into it, it's quite easy to step out, and consequently quite easy to mine. So, we're just starting to understand it. We obviously want to delineate the size of the lithocap, but really also the big prize is where's the source of the mineralization coming from into this lithocap? And probably, as they found at Filo with their hole 41, which was the feeder, you can get crazy bonanza grade over, a very long intercept. So that's the big prize that we're searching for. And look, what we've done since that as well is we've also realized there's other potential lithocaps on the property. So there's a couple of others that we've done some field work on this season, initial field work, where we know it's hosting gold geochemistry at surface, and definitely want to start to prepare those for some drilling as well, because they're great targets. Pretty easy shallow deposits. And yeah, with the kind of bonanza bonus below it, you could have major porphyries. So yeah, a lot going on, great geology. So I think, we can be viewed as a neurology play to the Lundin deposits, but we're also showing the same geology, right? So we're coming in, we're a new company, we're new to the district, obviously a lot earlier stage and a lot smaller than their discovery so far, but really showing people we're seeing similar stuff. And, we're just starting out on this journey. So, very excited by what we've seen. And I think a lot of people are, including a number of major mining companies. And I can tell you that the stock market didn't initially like that drill hole, but we had outreach from a number of major mining companies that want to find out more information. So that's kind of also a good stamp of approval. I think, a lot of them have looked at the district and understand, okay, yeah, this is meaningful. They've hit a telescope system in Vicuña on their first hole into this target. And, there's probably some good potential here, but early days. So I think that we definitely we have 5 more holes from the target that we want to get out as soon as we can to the market. And then the plan is to go away, digest all the information, potentially do additional geophysics, I think, strengthen on a number of areas technically as well over the course of the summer, and then come back and hopefully do a more substantial drill program starting in the Argentinian summer period, spring, summer, later in the year, kind of late October into early November. That's kind of the overview, Kerr. Sorry if I went into a bit too much detail,
great.
but yeah, a lot to,
Great.
yeah.
Maybe let's just unpack some of what you said there, because you did cover quite a bit, but I didn't want to interrupt. So in terms of your project, you've got sort of one large project that has then multiple target areas within it. Could you give us a bit of an overview on this Peñas Negras property that you have?
Yeah, certainly. So the Peñas Negras property is 120 square kilometers in Vicuña, so continuous, that we own 100%. So Hernan had probably bought these claims back in 2018, really before the area got super hot. And then actually just this year, we signed an option earning agreement with the provincial government, the Larioca provincial government, on an additional 92 square kilometers, where we can earn in 80% of the property by spending $10 million across the whole portfolio over 4 years in exploration and paying $5 million over 4 years in cash. So in total, we have 212 square kilometers in this very prospective district. In fact, outside the Lundin group of companies, it makes us the biggest landholder in Vicuña.
And this is sort of like an emerging kind of district, right? This Vicuña, it's sort of like new. At one point, it was kind of thought that there was nothing there, and then the Lundins have put it on the map as sort of being contiguous here between sort of the two prolific sort of known kind of copper belts. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. So just north is the Maricunga and south is the El Indio copper belt. And Vicuña, was historically perceived as a gap. A number of companies that explored in it never really did a lot of work. So for example, on our property, Anglo American did some exploration, Vale did some exploration, Eldorado Gold actually did most of the historic exploration. Eldorado did a reasonable program back in the mid-90s. At that point, they actually basically had all of Vicuña, Eldorado. They had most of the Lundin ground. They had a lot of targets even further north. So they, again, didn't really do detailed work. They were really going over, massive land positions with not too high expectations. So, but then, the Lundins have done some amazing exploration and really showed it's not a gap, but it's a host of a lot of metal. And I think, if you talk about these giant clusters in the Central Andes that produce around 40% of the global copper supply. And already what the Lundins have found is right up there with these big deposits like Escondida, which I was looking at the other day. Escondida is about 5 billion tons of ore, owned by Rio and BHP. And already the Lundins are above that with their 4 discoveries, Jose Maria, Las Lados, Filo, and Caserones, which they bought the majority stake in. And they just discovered Lunahuasi that came out of nowhere within the last 12 months with some amazing results. And I'm sure they'll discover a lot more. They have a lot of great targets on their very, very big land package. Now, on our land package, we already have about 8 or 9 targets identified. And really, we're seeing, very similar geology, clustering of these kind of porphyry swarms, these porphyry dikes coming up, just like they've seen on their targets with this epithermal overprint, right? So, very, very exciting for us. Great to have the property and, looking forward to advancing it over the coming years.
And out of these sort of like 8 or 9 targets, how were those sort of developed? Were they historically known targets? Were they some of the geophysics that you did? Was it some of the, have you done like channel or trenching? Maybe you could just give a bit of an overview on how some of those target areas within your sizable land package, how you've sort of worked those up so they're drill ready.
Yeah, a bit of all the above, and most of them we did work up actually ourselves. So a lot of it was initially aeromag, showing big magnetic anomalies. Then we went in and did, surface work sampling and mapping and trenching, identifying, geochemistry at surface, structural mapping as well. Vicuña has pretty standard kind of structural footprint of intersections of northwest, northeast folding. You get extreme folding, and most of the deposits in Vicuña, I think in fact all of them, are these intersections of northeast, northwest folding. All of our targets have that structural setting. and then really the host rocks, right? So, we focus on more the volcanics. There is, for example, Cerro Verde North is a great target. It's more of a granite-based host rock, which actually is more like Jose Maria. Jose Maria, the predominant host rock is granite, but we haven't really focused there for now. We focus more on the volcanics, which are obviously easier host rocks to deal with. But we've done a lot of field work as well since we started the company back 3 years ago, prepping for initial drilling, and drilled 3 of these targets in this initial program. But actually plenty more to go. But I think from our internal perspective as a new small junior company, we want to not spread ourselves too thin, right? So we could even in this first drill program, 2 of the targets we just put 1 hole into. Testing a target with 1 hole is really not ideal. So what we saw at Lagita was very exciting for us. It was what we wanted to see, the telescoping, and we factored in for Lagita for the rest of the program and put 6 holes in this season into Lagita, and then let's get the results, then digest. But most likely the next program will be majority, if not all, at Lagita, and start to delineate the lithocap, and ideally I identify these feeder zones into it, where I think there could be a lot higher grade mineralization.
Your initial maiden sort of drill result here saw the stock drop about 60% a few weeks ago. Was that from Lagita? You're talking about 3 targets. You put 8 holes in total, with 1 hole in 2, and then I guess 6 in a third target. Could you just break that down a little bit in terms of where that initial sort of drill result came from? And then is that where you're going to have sort of 5 follow-up drill holes that are sort of pending? Is that where those are from?
Yeah, correct. And the first announcement we put out was 3 holes from 3 different targets. So
Okay.
first one was from La Peña, second one was from Tambarias, and the third hole was from La Agita. And the remaining 5 holes have gone into La Agita at the total 8. So there's 6 holes into La Agita in total, and then 1 from Tambarias and La Peña. And look, Tambarias and La Peña, great geological settings, good geochemistry at surface, but I think also a little bit disappointing with the initial holes we put in. We hit continuous mineralization from surface for 226 meters at La Peña, 168 meters at Tambarias, but average grade of 0.22, right? So below our kind of target grade, definitely, not what we were hoping for internally, but, we don't think, definitely was peripheral, right? And I think we've already been vectoring where we should go, to get better grade, and definitely, like we touched on, 1 hole is not a test of a target. So we definitely want to put some more holes into these targets. But what we saw at Lagita was, above that. We saw the telescoping. We knew it was going to be high grade. And we're optimistic that the follow-on holes will be higher grade than this first one as well. And let's assess. Let's get them. We're keen to get them ASAP. And then we'll start to digest it in a lot more detail. But is a lithocap, 2 stages of porphyry mineralization was seen below, 2 porphyries of different age. And then we lost that hole, not because we drilled out the bottom of the porphyry, but we drilled into a post-mineral fault. So an extreme faulting came through. We drilled it for about 110 meters, couldn't get out the bottom. And on the advice of drill contractor, stop the hole. They said, you're going to break the rod. That would cost us $200,000 plus. As a junior company, we can't be taking those kind of risks. Very pleased with this first hole at Lagita and what we've seen, the telescoping, but very complex geology, Kerr. And I think, we definitely, like we say, it's covered. We're very, we want to see these drill results as much as everybody else, I think, and get a better understanding of the target. We're quite excited. And I think also we can touch on, from the 3D magnetics that we have, and happy to share it with any of your listeners that want to have a look. We haven't tested those 3D magnetics this season at Lagita. We've tested the peripheral part of it. Hole 4 was actually designed to test it, and we couldn't get through the fault, heavy faulting on hole 4 as well. And then hole 7 also was designed right on top to go down straight into it. And again, we couldn't get through extreme faulting to get into the magnetic high. So, a little bit of rethinking on how to do that. And I think that'll be where we'll start drilling next season to test these. We've got a cluster actually of 3 magnetic anomalies stretching over a stretch of about 2 kilometers. And like the thesis we have, and if this proves true, is that each of those is a porphyry center surrounded by high sulfidation epithermal system. then that would be an amazing discovery. So that's kind of what we're working towards.
And so just so
that's
I'm
why we'd like to go
clear,
back into a much
because
bigger
you
drill program
explained a bit
later in the year.
about losing a hole or faulting, which is understandable with complex geology. How many holes are still pending here that you're waiting on? Okay.
5.
Excellent.
5.
And
5
you're
still
expecting
pending.
those
Yeah.
5
So we just put out
here
3 of the 8
relatively
so far.
soon?
Yeah, hopefully, a little bit at the mercy of the labs, but yeah, I think, I don't think we'll just put out one hole, but once we have 2 or 3 back, get out a batch, I'd probably put out 2 more batches. So, a batch of 2 or 3, and then a final batch of 2 or 3 when we can, but definitely keen to get them out ASAP to the market. I think, like you touched on, unfortunately, we had quite heavy selling on the initial results. I think once the market starts to see multiple results, we're optimistic they will be better than that initial hole. I think we'll start to tick up. But I think what we also just want to touch on is internally that initial hole was above our target grade. We believe very economic in the district. Pretty much in line with the Jose Maria resource, actually above the Caserones resource grade. So that really we're very pleased with that. And if we can start to show scale of that grade, we believe that'll be a very economic, very profitable deposit. But yeah, the market obviously loves
Maybe we
high
could
grade.
just switch gears a little bit. Thanks for giving a
So
good
that's what
overview
we're
on
aiming
that. We wish you some good luck with upcoming news. Maybe we could talk a bit about like sort of financial kind of cap structure. Could you give us a bit of an overview of Sendero's capital structure? How many shares are outstanding?
Yeah, there's 66.4 million today. There was 65.4 million on the listing. We've had exactly 1 million warrants exercised over the course of the first period as a public company. So great to be getting some additional capital in. There's about 14.5 million warrants left today at 30 cents and about 1.4 million at 20 cents. So, that would also be a nice addition to the treasury. Those all expire in September 2025. And we think on Joe success, most of that money hopefully will come in over the course of the next kind of 6 months, which we can use for the upcoming Joe program as well later in the year. So in total, just under 87 million fully diluted. I think it's 86.9 million fully diluted share count. Exactly 1/3 of the company is owned by the board of directors. So very strong insider ownership. And on listing, it was about 22% was held by institutions. So a lot of the kind of major resource funds came into the IPO, and I think will be supportive going forward. A lot of them have experienced great success in Vicuña with the likes of Philo and now NGEx, and so understand the potential and definitely like our entry point. Right, we're a fraction of everybody else. Today our market cap is $12-13 million. NGEx, the next cheapest in Vicuña, is I think about $1.6 billion. So quite a divergence, unfortunately, from our side. But they've obviously a lot more advanced and been working at it many more years than we have. So definitely aspirational.
You mentioned
for us
earlier
to try
on our chat,
follow
but
in their
maybe you could just
footsteps.
kind of go over it again. How did you guys get public? It was like through an IPO, was it not? And when was that?
Yeah, it was last October. Okay, yeah, we IPO'd last October. We raised just under 5.9 million at 20 cents with a half warrant at 30 cents. And that was all free trading paper. So, there's no lockup on that. I think actually we traded pretty good volume since the listing. So yeah, it's I think reasonable awareness. I think still growing awareness. I think it's obviously been a very difficult junior mining market really for about 3 years now. So people are still quite skeptical and wary about jumping into new stories. But I think people are starting to get a bit more risk appetite coming back, and definitely our story resonates for a lot of people, and they can see the potential upside from where we're at now is vast. This is really a situation where you could be getting a 10 bagger plus, which a lot of the investors in the sector, they like those kind of setups. So yeah, we I think we're in a situation now where people want to see more drill results, right? We've put out the first snapshot. Okay, good start. It was kind of the feedback from more the kind of bigger institutional investors. Let's see what the follow-on
any
holes
sort
are
of like corporate
and then assess the
shareholders
situation.
that you're able to touch on, or is that something that you'd hope to sort of achieve with more drilling success, or is that a strategy that you'd like to avoid?
Yeah, no mining companies at the moment, but yeah, definitely we're having dialogue with quite a few actually. I think quite a few are familiar with the district and interested to see what we're doing and what we have. So yeah, definitely, I think would help on multiple fronts. I think they're increasingly distributing capital to the junior space. I think they're realizing there's good entry points to be getting stakes in these junior companies or the asset level, and definitely also bringing their expertise right to the table. So yeah, I think let's see how the situation comes over the next kind of few months with the drill results, the share price movements, and then see what kind of capital is available to us. But yeah, our strategy as well is to make a discovery and sell the asset to a major mining company. So if we can start to build relations early doors with some of these major companies, I think that will also help, on our
Hey, let's
goal to
move
that
over
exit
to, we're going to switch
in the
gears
coming
again
period.
here. We're going to sort of talk some catalysts and sort of wrap up. Appreciate your time. What's a typical day look like for you? I know you're involved with a few different companies. I would imagine a lot's been sort of on the financing side of things and the funding. But what's a typical day look like for you?
Yeah, no, like really focus on Sendero, the marketing of Sendero, the exploration program, constantly talking with the technical team, getting daily updates on the drilling, assessing targeting, etc. So, very hands-on with Sendero, and very excited about what we have. So, yeah, my hours are slightly different being based in Asia, but I'm quite used to it now. So more of a night owl than an early bird.
Right.
So yeah, more of an afternoon, evening worker than a morning worker. But works for me, and a fair bit of travel. Definitely, I'm going to Argentina again next week. Come to Canada, the US, Europe for marketing. And probably go to Australia, maybe
Really?
Scandinavia as well. There's quite a bit of interest from Scandinavia. Obviously, a lot of investors there. Very familiar with Vicuña. Yeah,
Right.
so I just
I
did
guess it
a,
would have
a
something to do with
presentation
maybe the
actually for a
Lundins.
Scandinavian group last week,
They've probably done a good
first time,
job
and
of getting Scandinavia and places like that sort of on the
yeah,
radar with their sort of family background.
yeah, exactly. So a lot of Scandinavians have invested in NJAX, Philo, Josemir Resources before that. Even I think the original NJAX. So very familiar with the area, and I think obviously made a lot of money from it. So had some outreach to us from some groups
So
in
it sounds like
Scandinavia wanting
lots
to
of air miles in your
understand more
future.
about the company and what we're doing.
Lots Yeah. What sort of immediate catalysts should investors be looking
Yeah,
for
I think
here?
so.
I would imagine drill assays here in the short term.
Yeah, definitely. That's the immediate catalyst. Probably two batches of drill results coming. That's the immediate, I think, biggest catalyst coming. And then I think let's assess then the investments that are made into the company over the say let's next 3 to 6 months for the bigger drill program. Hopefully later in the year or the following drill program. Let's see what kind of drill program we put in place. And I think look, I think we also want to add technical expertise to the company. There could be some nice catalysts coming on that front. And yeah, maybe strategic partnership. We'll see how those kind of
And
conversations
as we
go
sort
and
of
if anything
conclude here,
develops
could you just
on that front.
maybe indicate why Sendero Resources is a compelling choice for investors right now in the mining sector?
Yeah, I think we have an asset that has the potential to be a world-class discovery, and we're trading, 10 to $20 million market cap. So a very good entry point for a potentially great return. We have a strong technical team. I think already from what we showed in this maiden drilling, we're making a meaningful discovery in a very prolific district. So yeah, I think a great entry point for investors. Great to get the story out to your network. And looking forward to exploration success coming in the next few weeks with these follow-on drill holes, and then multiple drill programs after this, hopefully delineating a major discovery, and yeah, hopefully
Any final
hopefully getting
thoughts
a
or key
nice exit for
messages that you'd
everybody
like
in
to
the
share
not too
before
distant
we
future.
wrap up?
No, that's great. I think we covered all the main stuff. Very excited about what we have. Great. We were one of the few new listings actually in the junior space last year. So it was great to get that capital in a particularly tough market last year, get public, do this Maiden Joe program. And then, we want to kick on from this and do more exploration on the property. We still really just feel we're probing on this property, big property, so many great targets, and really want to move to start to show maybe a formal resource at one or two of these targets, and then maybe even some economic studies to show to people that the viability and that this is a real deposit that can be a real mine in the not too distant future. And yeah, I think where we are, there's a lot of interest, right? We're in a very prolific district where super giant discoveries have been made, and we're showing the potential for such discovery. So very exciting times for the company, and great
Well,
to
excellent.
be
Well, I hope
out
you'll come
marketing
back
and
after you
getting
get
more
your next set
awareness
of
of
assays and
Sendero.
maybe the next couple of news releases out, and we can chit chat and sort of get an update from you in terms of what the results sort of mean to the future of the company. So we look forward to having you back. I really appreciate your time. Thanks, Michael.